My friend and colleague, NBC's Jacob Soboroff. He's on the ground in Pacific Palisades, California, for us once again. Jacob, just tell us what you're seeing and hearing today.
Nicole, it's a different feeling in the air, and I mean that quite literally. The winds are not blowing today like they have been, and over the course of the day so far, we have seen those impressive super scoopers going out to the Pacific Ocean and circling back and dumping water on the remaining hotspots here in the Palisades. But we're a long way, actually, from... Actually, can we swing around, Chris? Chris Jackson's going to show you that American flag. This is the flag, Nicole, at the Palisades gas station and car wash. The flag is, I think it's got to be the biggest American flag in Pacific Palisades, and it has flown up there for as long as I can remember, and it wasn't blowing like that just a couple minutes ago. And so what I've been told is the forecast is going to change, and the winds will pick up again, which means that we're not out of the woods yet, not here in the Palisades, not all the way on the other side of L.A. County at the Eden Fire. We even have fires burning up at Mount Wilson, an absolutely critical piece of infrastructure where the radio repeaters and other types of information technology are that not only service the first responders in Los Angeles County, but also all the broadcast outlets that do over-the-air television and radio. So this is still a not only a citywide but a countywide emergency. It is declared a statewide emergency in a federal disaster area by President Biden, who I know we're going to hear from in just a little bit. On the ground, I'm starting to see people try to get back into the community. And actually, earlier today, went to my synagogue, which remarkably is still standing. And I went there with, I haven't been there in a long time, quite frankly, but I went there with the two rabbis that are there now and the cantor, who was the cantor that performed at my bar mitzvah. And we walked into the synagogue, and all over the place were ashes. And what he remarked was these are the ashes of the homes of 300 of the 900 members of our congregation. But there will be hope through all of this. A place like that is a spiritual home. People may not have their homes, but the spiritual home for so many people in this community is still standing, even though not all of the houses of worship are. And it's those little glimmers of hope that I've been looking to over the course of the last couple hours that I've been here in the Palisades.
You, I think 24 hours ago, were, I think, bringing us into what it was like to see your hometown burned to the ground. I think something that people don't appreciate when they see the numbers, 17,234 acres, 27 square miles, is that is a big number, but it's a packed area. It's not, and I'm not denigrating wildfires, but that is a fire that swept through densely populated community and homes and structures. And I wonder if you could just give some voice to what that actually means in terms of the toll and the human beings impacted, the homes, the businesses, the schools, the infrastructure.
Yeah, Nicole, this is a wildfire, a firestorm, as I mentioned to you yesterday, in the heart of an urban population. Los Angeles County is the most populous. A lot of people think of New York and the surrounding areas as the most populous, but in terms of a county, by population, L.A. County is the most populous county in the United States of America. Los Angeles City, within it, 437 square miles, if I got that number correct, has a 4 million population, and those 400 plus square miles is a city made up of distinct neighborhoods. And Pacific Palisades is one of them that's comprised of 23,000+ people who live here. The idea that a wildfire would rage through a community and burn 1,000 structures, as you said, any loss of life or any loss of structure in any of these wildfires is devastating. But to see it in such a geographically compact area within this city, would be jarring for anybody, much less someone who is a native son of the community. And I think that that's part of the issue here, is that this was the supermarket. This was Ralph's Supermarket that I went to as a child. Actually, you can see, come over here, Chris. I don't know if we have enough tether here. Look at the Coca-Colas. I just noticed it, but there's a whole rack of Coca-Colas that are still standing there on the shelf that somebody like me might have walked through. Actually, they're still the Christmas Cokes, so they must have been leftover inventory from the holidays, would walk in and grab. This is not a remote, isolated area. We are in the heart of the city of Los Angeles, and that's why it's going to require a response on the scale that is going to be marshaled not only by the municipal government, Karen Bass, not only by the state government. I mentioned to you yesterday, I spoke with Gavin Newsom briefly. As he was getting on the phone was to his head. talking to President Biden before he departed to go back to Washington for the state funeral today. It will require a federal effort, including from members, by the way, of the Trump administration. And without violating the confidence of this senior Trump official who called me, actually, there are members of the senior inner circle of the Trump administration who have family members that live in Pacific Palisades. And I hope that they know, too, that there's this recovery effort, because there has been a lot of dis and misinformation going around, is going to require the marshaling of many resources from the federal government as well.
I know you have to jump, but do say something about the disinformation that's rampant. I think we're all picking it up anecdotally, but tell me what local officials are most concerned about.
Well, the idea that something could have been done differently to stop the burning here, outside of not developing, which I think is a fair concern and a conversation worth having, to develop communities anywhere with so much wildlife around it within the Santa Monica Mountains or in between the Santa Monica Mountains and the coast. This community has been here for over 100 years. But development is always an important conversation to have, especially with so much native brush and all of that around. But the idea that there was a policy failure that ended with such a loss of structure and the devastation of this community, I think is one that is going to be highly debated based on the facts. There were local would-be politicians who came on local television saying that the firefighters couldn't use the fire hydrants because those hydrants weren't working because of policy decisions that have been made by the current mayoral administration here. And there's reported that indicates that that's not borne out by the facts, that the water tanks were full in Pacific Palisades. It was a matter of water pressure, not the availability of water in this area. And so just that kind of thing. You know, I don't think anybody on the ground here likes hearing about political posturing, you know, in the wake of so much devastation, certainly not as the flames continued to burn.